Hi, welcome to another episode of Sarah Reed's Psych Snippets. I'm Dr. Sally Richards,
And I'm Dr. Brittany Hayden.
and today we're fortunate to have Will Phillips join us to talk with us a little bit more about self-care. Now, Will is a doctoral intern, and Sarah Reed has had an accredited doctoral internship in health services psychology since 1998. It's accredited by the American Psychological Association.
And fun fact, I also started at Sarah Reed as a doctoral intern.
That's a very fun fact. I love it.
So here is Will Phillips, a doctoral candidate with Ball State University in school psychology, taking a deeper dive into self-care.
Hi, my name is Will Phillips. I'm one of the current doctoral psychology interns here at Sarah Reed Children's Center, and I work in the residential treatment program. And today, I'd like to continue our conversation that we started in our last video about self-care. If you remember from last time, Dr. Hayden and Dr. Richards gave us this really nice acronym that helps us remember those key areas that we want to focus on when we talk about self-care. And that acronym was PLEASE, with the P standing for physical, the L standing for limits, the E standing for eating healthy, the A standing for avoiding substances, the S standing for sleep, and then that last E standing for exercise. And so those are the kind of those key areas that we're going to keep kind of revisiting as we continue to have this conversation about self-care. The other thing I wanted to bring up from our last video, just as a reminder, is that when we're talking about making these adjustments and making these kind of lifestyle changes, when we're trying to incorporate more self-care into our lives, is that we're really talking about trying to make small but meaningful changes. We're not trying to make huge, giant leaps to where we're suddenly changing everything that we do within a given day or within our given lives. And so we're not saying, okay, tomorrow I'm going to run 6 miles, and then I'm going to add an hour of meditation, and then I'm going to make sure I eat exactly 2,023 calories. And I'm going to make sure 70% of those calories all come from plant sources or come from vegetables and fruits. We're not talking about making those huge leaps. Some people are going to be able to do that. Some people are going to be able to say, you know what, I'm going to make all these changes, and they're going to be able to make them and stick with them. But what's more important here is making changes that we're going to be able to stick with. And so that's why we find time and time again from a lot of research and from a lot of our experiences, when we make small changes, those are the ones that we're going to be far more likely to be able to maintain. And by being able to maintain it, that's where we're really going to be able to see some of the benefits from self-care. And that's the other area we're going to talk about today is why bother with these changes? What benefits should I expect? Why should I bother with all of this? And really, when it boils down to it, the great thing about self-care is that essentially by continuing to engage in self-care and by having an appropriate amount incorporated into our lives, it allows us essentially to thrive at kind of our best and peak abilities. It lets us maintain a level of productivity that is typical for us. It lets us be more focused on our activities. It also helps our mood. It lets us maintain a more positive mood and helps us to be able to regulate or to be able to kind of control a lot of our emotions that we experience. And so it helps us kind of be the best of ourselves when we're able to engage it. Because what happens a lot of times is that as humans, we have limits. We have both physical and mental limits. When we talk about our physical limit, this tends to be pretty easy to understand initially because a lot of times we've felt physically exhausted before. Think of the last time maybe you did engage in some strenuous exercise. Maybe you went for a run. Maybe you lifted weights. Maybe you did a really hard yoga class, or maybe you played in some sports or something like that, to where like you at the end of it you were physically exhausted. Maybe you noticed your heart rate racing, your breathing was increasing. And you know that at that point, you need time to help to recover. Well, the same thing can happen with our mental states, to where there is a limit to how much mental stimulation or how much mental effort we can expend in one time. And the same thing goes for emotions. We have an emotional capacity for how many emotions we can experience at any one time and how much negative emotions we're able to regulate. And right now, a lot of us are hitting our limits pretty quickly just because we're experiencing a high number of different emotions at the moment because of all the things kind of going on. And so that's one of the key areas that we really want to focus on as well, of being able to maintain those abilities. Because when we're able to do that, it not only lets us increase and be able to kind of focus on our work productivity, so being able to not only produce our work faster, but at a higher quality rate, but it also allows us to be better caregivers and be better friends to the people around us. When we get into some of those emotional states to where we're not able to kind of be at our best or be able to kind of handle some of those emotions, it actually makes us less of a caregiver, because it's harder for us to be able to have empathy. It's harder for us to be able to recognize other people's emotions and engage with them in that way. And so we really want to be able to kind of focus in those areas. And that's why self-care is so important, because it lets us be kind of the best of ourselves. And so as we continue to kind of have these discussions, we're really going to start focusing now on how do we navigate some of the things that might present to us as barriers. How might we, what are some things that we can do that maybe we haven't thought of to get creative with self-care during these times where we're not able to necessarily do some of the things that we normally would be able to. And so we're going to start focusing on those in some of our next videos. So as we kind of come to the conclusion here, I'm going to ask what are your thoughts? How are we doing so far? Kind of our goal here is to give you all information that you're able to use, and again, give you these nice little snippets of little pieces of information that hopefully help you get through some of your day-to-day challenges. And so if you have questions, comments, concerns, feel free to post them in the comments. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, same thing, post it down below. We'd be happy to be able to address some of those things in either our next video, or maybe even be able to kind of send you a quick message on either of those platforms. If you're one of our people watching this on our kind of internal servers too, feel free to shoot any of us an email as you see us in these videos if you've got questions. The whole idea of this is to kind of help everybody out. So leave us your feedback. We'd love to hear from you, and we will hopefully talk to you pretty soon.
Wow, Will, thanks so much. That was really great information. I particularly like the piece about like that parallel between physical exhaustion and mental exhaustion. I think sometimes it's easier to make sense of that physical piece, but it's just as true when it comes to our mental and emotional exhaustion. And I think it was really validating too to hear that we might be meeting that exhaustion level sooner because of all the stress that is going on and because of all the things that are really challenging us right now. So I thought that piece was really helpful.
Yeah, in my experience, working with people in general, I think people don't recognize when they've reached their mental limit. Or their emotional limit. I think they're more likely to ignore that. Like they'll pay more attention to the physical side, but it's a lot harder. I remember in many a session giving some validation to my clients about, no, your cup is full. You have lost all of your energy there. Your battery is dead when it comes to your emotional reserve, and we need to fill that back up. And it was an analogy about draining the battery that I used in sessions was, it takes a lot of emotional energy just to deal with things. And like, that's what Will was saying, was like, right now we're going to kind of lose that power, and we have to find a way to recharge, or we're not going to be able to function. And it leads to all different kinds of other things, like he talked about, like it affects our mood and how we interact with other people. And so I liked that piece that he said that doing this is important because it helps us be, the best version of ourselves, but it helps us, be the best for our families and our friends. It helps us be there for them in the ways that we want to be. So I really like that part too.
It's kind of like that analogy that you hear very often about you have to put on your oxygen mask before you put on someone else's. Like, you really can't give what you don't have. And I think that was such a beautiful explanation of why self-care is so important. It's because, like what you said, if we're going to be the best version of ourselves, then we have to make sure that we're investing just as much in ourselves as we are other people.
Absolutely.
Well, Sally, I think that was such a great episode on self-care, and I know that Will is going to be sharing with us again in the future about some other strategies regarding self-care. So we hope that you all stay tuned and make sure that you're letting us know if there are things that you want to know about. Make sure that you're sending us a message or drop a comment below, whatever way you can reach out to us to let us know what you want to know about.
Also, feel free to drop a comment and let us know what slight adjustment you've made to your life right now that is working for you or that you've tried. Let us know how you're taking care of yourselves. We'd love to hear from you.
And make sure to take care of yourselves and each other.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye.